So we're sitting here with Tina Keys. She is the innovator and the founder of, I have to make sure I get this right, the Florida Divorce Coaching and Mediation.
Yes.
Did I do it right?
Yes, you did it
Okay.
right.
Okay. And so I actually met Tina through a networking event and was fascinated by her story. So I thought, Dawn and I thought it would be great if you could tell everyone your story. And so, what do you do?
Yeah. So basically, I mostly specialize in amicable divorce mediation for parents who are trying to avoid court, who are trying to avoid unnecessary costs, unnecessary conflict. They really want to get through this with, preventing trauma for their kids, right? So I got into this space because I kind of saw through my own life as a stepmom for 11 years how traditional divorce litigation really makes it difficult for parents to get on the same page after that. And so I thought there has to be a better way to do this. And I realized pretty quickly getting into this business that a lot of the issues are systemic. And so I basically decided, you know what, I'm going to do this a different way. And I'm going to set up a different process for parents that it's kind of the way I would want to do this if I had to, which hopefully I, never do. But if I did, I would want it to be really focused with my kids at the forefront of the process, which I think tends to get lost.
Agreed. It's usually
so
parent against parent, and
Yes.
the kids are just honestly an afterthought. And I've been divorced 3 times. And so I do find that it is adult focused with the kids as almost like a byproduct, and that is not the way divorce should be. You're a mediator. How did you become a mediator? Like, you just do an online course for 7 hours? Like, what
Right.
makes you a mediator?
Yeah, so first of all, to become, the full title is a State of Florida Supreme Court Certified Family Mediator. Say that
That's a
five
lot.
times. Yeah, so basically I'm certified by the state of Florida to mediate paternity, divorce, and modification cases. So basically you have to do like a 40-hour training, and then you have to do a bunch of observations where you sit in on other mediations and watch the job being done, essentially. And depending on your qualifications leading into that, you have to do more or less of those. You have to get background checked, you have to do fingerprinting. It's all like run through the state to make sure that you're not a criminal, obviously, because you're handling people's details, financial details. And then my background before that, I had a bookkeeping firm, for which I still have, for 15 years plus, maybe more. So I'm very well versed in financials. That's like my, as far as going through financials with people, very comfortable with it. It really helps me as a mediator because there's a lot that I understand about even, business financials and how expenses are handled. That helps me in this job. And then I'm also come at it as a coach. So, a lot of mediators typically in this space are former litigators who turn mediators after kind of getting burnt out by litigation.
Those are the mediators that I know.
Yeah. And for me, I come at it more as a coach. I was a divorce coach first. It's all about really facilitating a conversation. And so that's how I approach it, is really trying to ask a lot of questions, understand why people want things, where they're coming from, and try to help them hear each other. Because a lot of times that communication's so broken by that point that they just cannot even hear what the other person is saying. And so that's an opportunity there for me as an outsider to read between the lines and help them hear each other again and rebuild that communication.
Yes. And one of the things that you had said before when we were talking off camera is that when attorneys do get involved, it tends to become more of an adversarial role that they take, and that bleeds over into the husband and the wife. And that just is not conducive for coming together and making some sort of an agreement. And you help with that, making sure that things stay, I think, cohesive, right?
Yeah. So, even the most well-meaning attorneys and really wonderful attorneys, and I have some in my network that are really great humans and do this work for the right reasons. Inherently, the system is set up to be adversarial. You can be the most, compassionate and wonderful attorney in the world, but when you're in a litigation process, it's still petitioner respondent. It's this one side versus the other side. Even the mediations are generally set up that way. We're in 2 separate rooms.
Right.
Mediator goes back and forth. We're not talking to each other. It's like you retain the lawyer and now you're not talking to each other anymore. And so, my entire process is based around the idea that, yes, is divorce technically a legal issue? Okay, sure. You have to legally get stamped by a judge. But at its core, it's really an emotional issue, and it's mostly a financial issue and parenting issue.
Right.
So if we can sit down as human beings and rationally have conversations about the parenting of our children, how do we want to deal with decisions when they come up? How do we want to deal with time? How do we want to deal with holidays? All those things, right? And then we pivot to the financials and we talk about it one topic at a time. Again, just the two parents and me. And if they ever want to consult with a lawyer, they can. They can go have a 1-hour consult with a lawyer. I have lawyers that work that way. They can always at the end, if things get to a place where they just can't get there, they can always bring in lawyers at that point, right? But my whole process is focused around the idea that you got to this point in your life without all that intervention, right? So if you can unravel the marriage and you can make those decisions, why not see how far you can get first before you kind of go nuclear with these really expensive attorney retainers that you can't really back out of. It's really difficult.
Yes, that's a really great visual.
And you're not learning how to communicate.
Right.
Because if you're not talking to each other, how are we ever going to figure out how to co-parent well together?
Agreed.
So.
And one of the other things that you told me is that now you are able to facilitate the process of writing of the forms that need to be done. And what else have you brought in your arsenal, if you will, to help people?
Yeah, so basically, most people who find me are very early in the process. A lot of times they're still living together. Finances may still be together. One person maybe just moved out. They're really just trying to figure out, what are we even doing here? How do we even get divorced, right? So what that's called is pre-suit mediation. That means they come to me, nobody's filed for divorce yet. We're going to work through, try to get to complete full agreement, and they would file at the same time. So it's a lot less litigious feeling because all the agreements are done together as kind of one team, right? And then at the end, I can do all the court forms for them, and then I partner with an attorney who then can file it. So they have an attorney on record, and generally Seminole County won't require a court hearing in that case.
Wow.
And then if they do need to go before the judge for a quick 15-minute final judgment hearing, then that attorney would attend it with them. So it's really, it feels a lot less litigious than two people going into a courtroom and trying to figure things out.
Yeah, agreed. Right, and even in an uncontested divorce, where
if you're fully unrepresented, you still have to appear before a judge.
And so that has happened.
It still feels weird.
Agreed.
You come to all your agreements, and then now I have to sit before like a stranger and kind of have them look at it's just a weird feeling.
Yes, so I think having the professional help from you would be, in my own perspective, having gone through this, I think that I wish I knew you back then. That would have been very helpful. Yes, very helpful. What other things? You said you have some new things that are coming on board too.
Yeah, so my process that I have sort of developed, I've called Kids First Mediation, because that's really what it's about, right? Like putting the kids first.
I love that so much.
Yeah, literally and figuratively, like as a mindset, but also we start with the parenting plan, we start with the parenting issues. So there's like a whole structure to it. It's broken down. We meet in weekly sessions. We don't have these long 8-hour marathon mediations where we're expecting everyone to.
And they wear you down.
Yeah, figure out your whole life in one day. It's just wild to me. That's especially if you don't have attorneys involved, that's really
it's
impossible
not conducive.
for people.
Right. Agreed. So go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so it's basically called Kids First Mediation, and I just launched a training program as well. So I'm now certifying other mediators in it to become Kids First certified mediators. And the goal is to essentially build a network of like-minded mediators across the country. I actually just had my first person sign up for the October training who's in California. She and I knew each other from another training.
That's so exciting.
So I'm hoping to build a network of like-minded mediators across the country who believe that the system is a big part of the problem, and that as a collective, as professionals, we need to stand up and say, hey guys, enough is enough. Yes, do some people need that whole like litigation model?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, there's always going to be those people, right? But I think the lion's share of parents are in the gray area where they really could go either way.
Agreed.
We can kind of go for the jugular route, like, get amped up and go that way, or with the right mediator, the right process, the right structure, we can kind of keep ourselves at a 5 out of 10 and have, rational conversations. And I think a lot of it hinges on the process.
I think that what you are doing could and is life-changing for not just the parents, but for the children too. And I think that's critical, which is why I love your process. So,
well, I love my job because I look at it as a generational impact.
Yes.
You know, like those kids will never know me, but the work that I've done with their parents will directly influence their lives.
Agreed.
And then how they love and the relationships they have, and then their kids and all these people, right, will be impacted. I keep actually a running list of all the first names of the kids whose parents I've worked with. Because like one day I want to look back on that and see like all these people whose lives have been affected.
I love that.
I'm envisioning one day I'll have like a word cloud in the back of like my office with like all the first names. That. Like how cool would that be?
I think that's a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah,
I
so
love
I'm like
that.
in progress on that. You know? But
so how do people find you?
So my website is floridadivorcemediation.com. If you want to learn more about the Kids First side of it, that's kidsfirstmediation.com.
Okay.
So try to keep it easy. And then I do free consults, 20-minute consults with people. I'm always happy to talk to someone, even if you're not sure that what I do is a fit, because I have a huge network of people who maybe I can connect you to.
Sure.
You know, a lawyer with kind of the right type of mindset, or maybe if you need a therapist for your child while you're going through divorce, things like that. I have a lot of people that I can connect people with that aren't just me.
I love that. You're such an amazing resource. And I just wanted to expose, you know, our community. Dawn's sitting back there shaking her head. So I am so thankful that we could sit down and talk with you, Tina.
And my office is in Winter Springs.
Yep.
I do mostly virtual because even people who live down the street, it's just easier to schedule virtually. So, but I am in Winter Springs. I have an office over Tuscaloosa and Redbug. So I do in-person mediation as well if people prefer.
Perfect.
So
thank you so much
for
everything, not just talking, but the work that
it.
you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.